Welcome back, woodworkers. So I now have the full width or thickness of this apron glued up. The joinery is fairly tight, minus this one here, which I'm not worried about. But in the glue up process, this came a little bit out of square, and so it's not totally flat. Sometimes you get a little squeeze out between the joints, and that starts to create challenges. But what I want to do is correct these things. So standing at the jointer here, the jointer is going to be the tool that I use to correct one of the faces, if not both, on this curved piece. When I'm doing this, I want you to watch that it's okay as I push this through to modify the orientation with that blade spinning, with this thing engaged in the cut. It's one of the rare times you can do this. Table saws, bad idea. Band saws, you can get away with some things, but this one, as long as you've got good pressure down, that blade is engaged onto the bottom section, then I should be able to pivot this thing and get all the way through. Given the curve that you're working with, it's going to be tough to do this without some level of pivoting. So just be aware of that. It doesn't matter what the curve is. It could be a much more dramatic curve. You can either have, pardon me, a full circle, and depending on the diameter of that, you might need to stand within that circle and kind of walk this thing through as it's going around. It gets problematic because you don't know when to stop, basically, and so you'll be doing this and then say, where did my apron go? But this is how it works. All right, eye protection is on. Hearing protection is going in. So fairly straightforward. I'm not really worried about tear out or grain direction with this. I just want to make sure that I have a nice flat surface all the way across. So now that the first face has been complete, yeah, there's no more wiggle there, that's great. The question is going to be, how do I deal with the second face, or what will become the edge? You've got two choices. You can either flip this around on the jointer, and that's okay. It's not a great solution just because it really doesn't reference off of any one surface to make sure that you're maintaining parallel. My preferred method would be to run this over or into the planer. And the planer, if you envision that the knives are on top, feeding this thing through, I can pivot out from the ends once this is going in if the curves are going to make contact with any part of that machine. You just have to be cautious about how much clearance you have and the maximum cut capacity on a planer. But as this thing is going through, modifying that orientation here, again, the severity of the curve is somewhat irrelevant. As long as you're watching this and walking it going through, you should be in good shape. So I'll run the other face here through the jointer or the planer. I haven't decided yet. And then we'll start talking about cutting curves.